Hello, and welcome to the Booked and Balanced podcast, a holistic wellness podcast for all creatives. I'm your host, Brittany O'Connell, and I'm an actress, stuntwoman, and online fitness coach for creatives, and I love helping other creatives find their own path to sustainability in their career. I'm excited to share this space with you to talk about my favorite things, creative lifestyle and holistic wellness. After spending nearly a decade hustling to the point of extreme burnout and helplessness in my own career, I decided to try a different approach, one that allowed me to take care of myself and live life outside of my career. I fell in love with my career as an actor all over again because this new approach allowed me to bring the best version of myself into my work. Since making the decision to change my approach back in 2019, I have had more success in my career than ever before, and have even fallen in love with a new addition to my career, teaching other creatives how to do the same by starting my online fitness coaching program for creatives. On this podcast, you'll hear from me on some of my personal experiences and lessons I've learned along the way, as well as from a diverse group of other artists that will be guests on the show. I really hope that this podcast serves as an inspiration and a reminder that you are not alone and that you are so much more than just your acting career. It's being unapologetically yourself that is going to bring you more fulfillment and success than you could ever imagine. So, if you're ready to build the creative career of your dreams and learn a hell of a lot about how you can bring the best version of yourself forward while doing so, come hang out on the Booked and Balanced podcast. And welcome to the first episode of Booked and Balanced. I am so happy you are freaking here. I am a little hungry. I probably should have eaten before recording this episode, but I figured that it would be a motivator to get this episode done. I also have to pee a little bit. I was that kid that would go outside and play outside until I had a stomach ache, and I would come in and my mom would be like, "Why do you have a stomach ache, Brittany? Do you have to go to the bathroom?" And I would be like, "No," but I absolutely did. I just did not want to stop playing. So some things never change, even in adulthood. But I am so excited to welcome you to the first ever episode of Booked and Balanced. I'm going to start each episode out with a Love It, Leave It segment. So I'm going to talk about something or some things. In this case, with this week, I wasn't able to pick just one thing that I'm loving right now and something that I would like to leave or plan to leave behind me because it's just not doing it for me right now. So my love it for this week is gonna be a toss-up between two things. The first thing is these Barbells protein bars, particularly the chocolate dough flavor. Holy shit. I have never had a protein bar that tastes as good. It's like a candy bar, y'all. And apparently these things are going around on TikTok and they're kind of in right now. They're like trending right now. And I'm not normally a girl that like jumps on trends. I'm not even really on TikTok, but my roommate found them on TikTok and she ordered them. And then I tried one and wow, absolutely delicious. There's 20 grams of protein per bar and it's so good. So if you are looking for any kind of supplement in terms of like having a quick on-hand snack that has a lot of protein in it and you want it to be delicious, check out the Barbells protein bars. These are I'm not sponsored here. I'm just telling you the chocolate dough flavor literally tastes like a chocolate candy bar and I love chocolate. So loving those. And then the other thing that I was tied with is the Sunday night baths that I've been taking. I got one of those little, those caddies that you can like put over your bathtub where you can like put your iPad or a book and then you have a space for like a candle and a little wine glass. I am obsessed. I told myself this year that I wanted to do a little bit more of the romanticizing the little moments in my life. And I'm telling you what, that does it for me. I have been drawing my bath, although it's a pain in the ass to draw a bath in my house because the hot water only fills the tub about halfway. I'm not sure if we have a small water heater or whatever. It is an old house, but I have to boil like several pots of water to get a full bath with hot water. So it's a little pain in the ass, but honestly, it's worth it by the end of the week. And I'm ready to just have some time to relax. I go through the process. I'll pop in some bubbles or a bath bomb or something, and I'll get me a drink. I've been going back and forth between trying different things like Olipop and Poppy. The other night I did have an actual seltzer. I'm sorry if you can hear the dogs in the background barking. That is likely to happen because there are 2 of them in our house, and now my dog wants to get out. Hold on one, please. Okay, I'm back. So my baths have been a source of comfort and relaxation for me. I have a really hard time slowing down. If you've been following me on Instagram for any period of time, you know that it's really hard for me to slow down. Even though I preach to everybody to slow down, I am still actively working on that myself. So Sunday night baths are an opportunity for me to just chill. And even though they do involve usually watching some kind of TV show on my laptop, I've been really into Young Sheldon lately. It's just such a great little 20-minute sitcom to watch on Sunday nights. I've been really loving that. So definitely loving the barbell protein bars and Sunday night baths. The thing that I want to leave behind, and I think it's going to take some time, unfortunately, to leave behind. I'm currently in the midst of looking for apartments. I'm going to be moving relatively soon. I still have a little bit of time, but I have an insane amount of anxiety about finding a place, and not only finding a place, but being accepted by a place, because I realized that all of my living situations up until this point have been really unique. My first ever apartment was owned by a friend of a friend, and the landlord, the guy that owned the place, just would come to the apartment once a month whenever he could and pick up the rent in cash, and it was super cheap, and we didn't have to sign any kind of agreement or anything like that. The second place I lived outside of that first apartment was in New York, and I worked for my housing, so I didn't pay rent. I lived in New York for 4 years for free because I didn't pay rent because I worked for my housing. And then after that, I moved into the house that I currently live in, where rent was super cheap, and it's owned by my best friend. And then I owned a camper for 6 months, which I bought in cash, so I had no rent there. So I realized when I started to look for actual apartments and like the qualifications that you have to actually rent an apartment, it's a little scary. It's different than what I've been used to. I've gotten really, I'm so grateful for the housing situations that I've ended up in, but I've gotten really used to having relatively easy housing situations. And I'm so excited to have my own place. I'm so excited to like find my vibe in my own place and just have a space for me and Bellamy. Bellamy is my dog, by the way, if you're new around here. I'm just excited to have a space that's just mine, that's inhabited by just me and Bellamy and all of that stuff. But it's definitely anxiety inducing because, you know, having to prove qualifications and stuff as a business owner is also like doubly hard. So yeah, that I would love to leave that anxiety behind. So I'm just practicing that by telling myself that no matter what happens, the worst case scenario is that I get denied from some places and I have to figure it out. And if there's one thing about myself that I know is that I always figure it out. So I have to just keep telling myself that in order to leave this freaking anxiety behind. So today's topic, as I'm sure you could gather from the title of the episode, we're going to talk about balance, but it's probably not going to be the version of balance you think of. And this is because after several years of hardcore seeking this balance, this work-life balance, and coming up really frustrated, I don't believe that balance actually exists. I don't even think I believe in work-life balance. And yes, this is a podcast called Booked and Balanced, so don't come at me for that. But it's because I want to openly share this new mindset that I have around balance. But before I share that, I want to share how I kind of came to this conclusion that balance doesn't actually exist. So I spent the majority of my childhood very much people-pleasing, very much putting other people's needs and everyone else before myself, because if I could show up and put other people's needs before myself and I could feel good about it, that was what life was meant to be for me. And so in my adulthood, I've had to really unlearn these patterns of putting everything and everyone else first. So the bottom line is it came from this really hyperfixating on people pleasing. And not only that, but in a creative career. So not only am I a people pleaser in regular life and a recovering people pleaser at this point in regular life, but when it comes to creative careers, we are taught very early on, whether that's from a mentor or in school, if you're talking about wanting to pursue it, going to college, we are taught very early on that we have to hustle, 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 because if we don't, we will miss out. And it triggers FOMO. The fear of missing out is so heavy that it creates this version of ourselves where we are constantly pushing and we feel like that's what we have to do to be considered a real actor. I know that I heard so many times when I was younger that if you can't see yourself doing anything else other than acting, then just don't do it, because you're going to have to go all in all the time. And if you don't, you're never going to make it. And first of all, I am proof that that is not true, because I now own my own business that allows me to continue my acting career. So I have found something else that I can see myself doing in addition to acting. But this hustle culture mentality that is shoved on us very early ultimately creates a lifestyle that's lack of sustainability by putting basic needs on the back burner. And if there's one thing I've learned over the course of the last 5 or 6 years or so, is that if you want to have a long-term career in the arts, instead of chasing balance, you have to chase sustainability. And I'm not saying that you aren't going to feel the hustle from time to time, because you do have to. It is a reality that hustling is a part of the nature of pursuing a creative career. But this doesn't have to be an or situation. It gets to be an and situation. And what I mean by that is you can go after your career with your whole heart and take care of yourself while doing it. And from my experience, you can't truly go after your career as the best version of yourself with your whole heart without taking care of yourself. And the last thing I want is for you to give up on your dreams because you don't have the right tools to navigate your career sustainably. That's the whole reason why I started my coaching program. And it's why the whole reason why I shifted my mentality in 2019 was because what I was doing was not sustainable. And I was like, but I love my acting career more than anything. And I want to do this. I'm made to do this. I have to do this. How can I figure it out? And that is when I started to explore methods that were a bit more sustainable for me. So the last thing I want for you to do is to give up on your dreams. And sometimes priorities in life shift, and that's okay. But I want it to be an empowered choice that you made for you. So achieving success as an artist for most people takes a really long fucking time. And that is just the reality. You have to, I would rather you go into this career accepting that it's going to take a long time for you and just to enjoy the process than for you to come into this career thinking, I can only do acting. That would make me an actor if I only do acting and nothing else. I would much rather you go into it thinking like that. It's all about learning what your capacity is. And I will say that some people go on to give up their creative careers because their capacity dictates that it's not for them. And that there's no shame in that. I have had several friends who have left the industry who are so much happier without being in the industry. And the other thing too is your capacity is going to be different than anyone else's, different than mine, different from hers, the one you're always looking at. Your capacity is going to be totally different. So for instance, if we want to kind of take capacity in an example of fitness and working out, maybe you don't have capacity for 1 hour workouts 5 to 7 days a week. First of all, you don't need that many workouts a week to see results, but that's a side tangent. but maybe you have capacity for 30 minutes 2 to 3 days a week. Depending on your goals, you will have to reassess priorities, but it's all about capacity and figuring out what's in alignment for you and your capacity. And for me, it has been about, as of lately, stopping people pleasing, starting to set more boundaries, and being more aware of what is in align with what I desire and what my goals are right now. Because when you are so aligned with what you want and what you desire, anything that isn't in alignment is so fucking obvious. And anything that is, no matter how scary or difficult it may be, you can trust yourself and move forward. So ultimately, it's not about balance, y'all, because balance doesn't exist. It's about finding capacity, finding the things that are in alignment for you, which comes down to priorities. So how do you find your capacity, your alignment, your priorities? So there are, I would argue to say, 6 different categories when it comes to life in general. You got health, finance, career, relationships, mindset, spiritual. For me personally, mindset and spiritual go in one category because I'm not overly religious. My mindset is often linked to my spirituality, but it's about figuring out what is a priority for you in this moment in your life. Because ultimately, you have to understand first that we don't want balance in every moment. Again, because it's not possible. We want balance in life, not each moment. So when you die, I want you to be able to look back on your life and think, wow, I lived a well-fulfilled life. I don't want you to look back on your life and be like, wow, I really wish I would have spent more time nurturing relationships, or wow, I really would have wished I would have spent more time honing in on my finances, or wow, I really wish I would have went for my career when I was younger. That's the balance we want to look for. We want to look for this holistic life that we've lived. And obviously you can't predict all the things that you're going to do in this life, but when you die, I want you to feel like, yeah, that was a really fulfilling life for me. So then it comes down to priorities in each moment. This doesn't mean that the priorities you decide are priorities in the moment. The other ones are not important. Not everything in life can be a priority at all times. And that you just have to accept that. It's really hard to accept, especially when balance in work-life balance and all these things have been shoved at you all the time. It's just not possible. You got to think about things in your life on like a scale. When you take from one area of life and give to another, that other area of life is naturally going to be less prioritized. And that doesn't mean that it's not important. It just means that in this moment, it's more important for you to focus on this part of your life than it is that part of your life. So that's what you have to figure out. And this can be done by goal setting. And then once you figure out what area of life wants to be the priority in the moment, maybe your priority ends up being your career. You're just going to have to understand that your career is going to take a little bit more of your time and energy than other aspects of life. Doesn't mean you have to neglect other aspects of life, but you have to be communicative about things, especially if it's like career and you are in a relationship and you need to communicate to your partner, hey, I'm really head deep in my career right now. It's not that I don't care about you. I just want you to know that at this time of my life, I am really focused, and that is that. And it's going to have to be communicative. I think the sooner that you can accept that not everything can be in priority at all time and balance doesn't actually exist, the happier you're going to be, because then your priorities are going to ebb and flow. This is why I really like goal setting quarterly. It's something that I just started doing not too long ago, but it really helps me stay in alignment with my priorities. And it makes the things, like I said earlier, it makes the things that aren't in alignment so obvious. So maybe if you're focusing on your finances, if your finances are something that really needs some attention because it would bring some ease in terms of stress in your life, maybe it's not the right time to take that acting class. Can you find other resources that are free or cheaper to be able to level up in your career while also prioritizing your finances, because that is the area of life that's going to create the most movement for you right now. And that's what it's really all about, is not finding balance, but prioritizing the things in life that are going to give you the most movement in your life right now, whether that's your health, finances, career, relationships, mindset, spirituality, whatever it is for you. Maybe you need to go to therapy. Maybe you need to prioritize getting out and making new friends, because that feels like something that's missing. And chances are, when you've spent too much time in one area of life and prioritizing only one area of life, like I did when it came to my career, especially when I lived in New York, I pretty much only lived for my career. I didn't go out too much and do things with people unless it benefited my career in some way. I very rarely sought out any kind of romantic relationships. That's still something I struggle with to this day. And I started to feel like something was missing, even when I was working. Even when I had 4 to 6 months of consistent work, I still felt like, why am I not fulfilled? And it was because I had spent too long in the career bucket and I didn't allow myself to take care of myself. I didn't allow myself to focus on living life outside of my career. I hope that this brings you a new perspective when it comes to thinking about balance, because first of all, I think that seeking balance is a lot of pressure, especially because it doesn't exist. And when we try to get balance and we don't achieve it, we don't feel like we're achieving it, we're just setting ourselves up for disappointment. And I don't want that for you. I don't want that for me. I don't want that for any creative who's out there busting their fucking ass right now to make shit happen for themselves. So go easy on yourself. Be kinder to yourself. Figure out what it is that you really want to be focusing on right now. What is going to bring the most impact for you right now? And go from there and take it step by step. Focus on the steps in front of you, not the whole staircase. Okay? Okay. I hope this episode was helpful for you. I hope it inspired you to move forward in a way that makes you feel empowered and in a little bit more control, since so much of this life as a creative is out of our control. I love you. I'm so grateful you are here, and I will see you next time on the Booked and Balanced podcast. But wait, there's more. I think launching this freaking thing deserves a celebration. So for the next 48 hours, if you fill out an application for my one-on-one fitness coaching program for creatives, which is a program I created where I'm going to teach you how to fit fitness sustainably into your busy life without giving up all the good stuff, without giving up pizza and ice cream and wine, or working out 6 days a week, because who needs that? You're going to snag $100 off the program when you join. If you are wanting to feel good mentally and physically by summer or even by fall audition season, you need to start now. So to claim it, go ahead and hop over to Instagram. Find me on Instagram at the Brittany O'Connell. That's the BrittanyOconnell, and shoot me a DM with the word pod, and I'll get you all set up to lock that in. So that's going to be pod, P-O-D, pod. That's only going to apply to applications that are sent in for the next 48 hours. So by end of day, Friday, March 1st. So get that in to save some money and snag a spot on my roster before they are all gone for a few months. Thank you for popping in and hanging out with me on the Booked and Balanced podcast. If you liked this episode and are looking forward to hearing more, please do not hesitate to share a screenshot of the podcast on Instagram stories and tag me or wherever you hang out online. And if you're feeling extra inspired, you can leave a 5-star review here to help me get the word out. Both help me connect with other creatives more than you'll ever know. So let's keep growing this little corner of the internet together. Keep going confidently in the direction of your dreams, and I'll see ya on the next one.